Hello, my lovelies. Well, I found a few minutes to spend with you. I've been tearing around all over the place, and I did promise to update you on the energies of today. So it's the 27th of January, 2024. And on this day, the planet Uranus turns direct. So it's been going retrograde for a good wee while now. And you may find that you're already getting downloads and informazione coming through for you, especially in dreams and those aha moments. And if you care to look back at the last two little mini videos I did this morning, Uranus is about surprises. Good, ow! Sorry, cat's biting me. There we are. Good ones and bad ones. And the first one was a white cat sitting here. And later on, there was a grey cat sitting on the windowsill upstairs. So, two very interesting surprises and the energies that apply to cats, which is about our intuition. And a lot has been around us recently with me and my two cats about witchy wounds. Especially for myself, reliving certain memories from past lives of how I was wounded, physically, emotionally, mentally, but also how the cats were treated in those days. Now, at one point in our ancient history, cats were revered by the Egyptians, and some of them had them mummified and put into the tombs with them, so that they could follow them into the afterlife. And there is a story that goes when the Egyptians were going into battle with, I think it might have been the Persians all turned up with cats under their arms. And the Egyptians were so horrified they put their weapons down immediately and surrendered. But with regard to the witchy wounds associated with cats, it wasn't just women who were drowned and burned at the stake, and men, but the cats, our familiars, were also thrown into the fire and drowned. So they carry that memory in their DNA, in their cells as well. And because of this full moon energy we've just had on the 25th, that has stirred up things with my little cats as well, and I think hence the other two cats showing up. And it's interesting where they sit. So the white cat sitting here, and this is where I sit on the sofa, and when they're up in this position here, their energies are affecting my mind. How I'm thinking about things, processing things, and then when they are sitting there, they are transmitting and receiving. They're absorbing our negative energies, our illnesses, our dis-ease. I remember many years ago being called to a lady's house. Her cat had been diagnosed with cancer. And I said to the lady, "Where does your cat normally sleep?" So she showed me. And it was on a dressing table. And I said, "Oh, what's in those drawers under the cat?" And she said, "Oh, old love letters from a broken relationship." And I said, "Well, the cat's absorbing all of that pain and anguish and grief. It might be a good idea if you burn them." "Oh, no," she said. "Oh, I couldn't do that. And sadly, the cat passed away. But it's something to consider that our animals are part of us. They are an aspect of us. So when they come into our lives, and the lovely phrase going around at the moment, the cat distribution system, but there's also the dog and the horse and the rabbit and the guinea pig distribution system, and they all have their own energies that they bring into our lives and their attributes. But my sense of most of them is that they are those that are awake, like humans who are asleep. And humans that are awake. So some animals that are awake, their job when they come to us is to take from us our negative energies, our worries, our cares, our woes, our dis-ease, and they absorb it into their own little bodies. Some of them learn how to transmute it, and they just let it go. When they go out and about in the gardens or into the fields, the energy will go through them, through their pores and into the earth. So they transmute it, and then when they come back, they're fit as can be, and they're not carrying any of our old burdens or crap that we've been carrying around for a very long time. Another instance I remember many years ago, we had a beautiful dog called Flora, and she was half German Shepherd, half standard poodle, thick as two short planks, but wonderful creature. And she developed a great big lump on the side of her body, and she always sat at my stepfather's feet. She always lay there or fell asleep at my stepfather's feet. And I'm absolutely convinced that she absorbed all of his illnesses and dis-ease and painful memories and such like. And I've seen that recently with some people's animals around me. So for you to be aware that that is a possibility, to always thank them, always thank our animals, and remind them to let it go, to transmute it, to release it from their little bodies, because they don't really want to carry it around, do they? And because they're smaller than we are, and they don't live as long as we do, when you think that maybe if you've had a lot of unhappiness and grief in your life, what it can do to their little body. So anyway, that's a by the by. So also on the 25th of January just gone, here in the UK, well, Scotland, was Burns Night, Burns, and it's nothing to do with burning anything. It was Rabbie Burns, and he was a Scottish poet. And the Scottish people celebrate Burns Night, and they have a bagpiper, pipe in a haggis. And in honour of the Scottish poet Robert Burns, his admirers display a haggis to the tune of bagpipes and recite the famed poem addressed to a haggis. In the poem, Burns remarks on the haggis's cheerful visage. Fair fare your honest sonsy face. And there's also a satirical poet who penned several stanzas describing a mythical hunt for a bearded, vicious haggis. My heart's in the Highlands, 'twas strings on my bow, to hunt the fierce haggis, man's awfullest foe, and weel may bairn ha a tear in his e'e, for I shall not come back if their haggis hunts me. So I decided that not only was it a full moon in Leo, also known as a wolf moon, but it's a haggis moon. So from now on the 25th of January, when the full moon is in Leo, around about that time, it's going to be a haggis moon. So there are lots of energies that are dancing around now, and because Uranus is direct, moving forward, bringing surprises, some of which are very shocking, because Uranus is also about how we communicate with each other. It rules the sign of Aquarius, and we tend to think, well, some people do, that Aquarius is a water sign. Well, it's not, it's an air sign, but the glyph or the sign for Aquarius is two wavy lines, which look like waves, so that's why some people think it's a water sign, but it's the water carrier. So water carries memory and information. So as we are now in the energies of Aquarius until the 20th, 21st, when we move into the sign of Pisces, this energy is highlighted. When the moon is full, it's always in the opposite sign. of where the sun is. So if the sun is in Aquarius, the full moon will be in Leo. Now, the moon doesn't have its own light, and the only way that we can see that it is full is when the sun is shining directly onto it. So the sun rules the sign of Leo, and the moon rules the sign of Cancer. So you may find that people with those aspects in their birth charts will have felt the effect of this moon quite strongly. Cancer is the fourth house in astrology, and it rules the home and your security and your stability. Leo, being ruled by the sun, is in the fifth house, and that rules playfulness, children, creativity, entertainment. So if you can imagine that there's this full moon in Leo, the sun is shining directly onto the entertainment world. It's shining onto celebrities. It's shining into places that have been hidden to us previously, because the energy shifted from Pluto being in Capricorn into Pluto now being in Aquarius. It is starting to unearth things even more. So you may find that you get downloads, you receive information, not just in your dreams, but in your everyday life. You may have been bimbling along through life, believing a certain thing, and it works this way, and it does this, and you have to do that to get that to work. And then suddenly you screech to a halt and think, oh, that's not right, is it? That isn't true. That's a false belief. And then this download will come in, and it might shake your world a bit, because also Uranus rules earthquakes, not just externally in the on the planet, but inner. We have inner earthquakes where we have those wake-up calls. Now, those who have been working on themselves for a very long time, we still get wake-up calls, we still have inner earthquakes, we still have those moments where we question things that have been so deeply ingrained in us from babyhood, that it's very hard to shake that off and begin to see life in a completely different way. Now, my mother held poverty consciousness. So when anybody called to the house and they came for something to eat, she would whisper to us 4 children, FHB, FHB. And that meant family hold back. So that the guest would always get the best of the food, of the cakes, of the sweeties, of whatever was being offered. And we were not allowed to have the same amount as the guests had. So there's this sense of belief in a lot of people's lives of undeservedness, that you don't deserve to have the best things or a larger amount of such like, because you've got that programming within you which says FHB, family hold back. So these patterns are breaking now. They're being cracked open. They're being smashed. They're being completely demolished by all of this new information that is coming in. So it's not just in your dreams or downloads. You will find that there's a thread running through human consciousness that is like a fibre optic. And I don't know if they still have them around now, but there was in the 60s and 70s these wonderful lamps that had these beautiful fronds. They were plastic fronds, and you switch it on, and right at the very tip was the light, and you could move these things around and they swished and swayed, and so you get this lovely flowing light, but it was only at the very tip of each little plastic frond. So my sense of this energy that we have around us at the moment, it's not going to go away. It's not ceasing, it's not stopping, it's building and it's building and it's building and it's growing. And you will maybe find those around you who have not wanted to see, have not wanted to listen, have not wanted to participate in what is being revealed. You might just be surprised. Again, the Uranus energy. I had the electricians come last week to fix certain things in the house, and they gave me a new fuse board. And as they were leaving, I looked up in the sky and I saw these chemtrails going over. And I said to one of these guys, "Oh, look at those chemtrails." "Oh, I'm not into that." He said, No, I'm not into that. And I didn't take it any further. And I thought, oh, okay, he doesn't want to see, he doesn't want to hear. They're there. You can't miss them, can you? But oh no, I'm not into that. But I get the sense that he will definitely have a wake-up call. So when people come into your life, you can give them information without saying a word. They can just be in your presence. You can be in the kitchen, in the background, and they do something somewhere else, but they will receive an upgrade through just being in your presence. You don't need to stand on your soapbox. You don't need to say anything. It will just happen. And another example of that is when I used to read an awful lot back in the day, and always had stacks of books on the table and such like. And if I was really enthusiastic about what I was reading, I want somebody else to know about it. So, "Oh, this is really great. This is a lovely book about this, that, and the other." And they wouldn't want to know. So you can't shove knowledge down people's throats if they don't want to know. So I found the best way to do things was just to leave it open on the table. And eventually they might lean over and sort of take a look. And I'd whip it away from them and say, "Oh, no, I said, I'm reading that. Yeah, I haven't finished that chapter yet. No, I'm reading that." So that sets a little spark within them. Oh, all right then. And they may come back to it later and pick it up and start to read it for themselves. You can't change people. You can only change yourself. So the changes we make within ourselves affects all of those around us. That also happened to me when I was studying shiatsu, nearly 40 years ago now. Again, I was so enthusiastic. It was a fabulous new way of working with energies and healing people. It was Eastern as opposed to Western. And I wanted to practice on everybody and talk about it all the time. And again, they didn't want to know. They did not want to know. It was not what the doctor said. They gave their power away to the doctor. It was the doctor's job to make them well with, however many pills or potions or injections. And they were not open to exploring another way of doing things like I was. But it always comes back round again when you leave it alone. And then people started to ask questions and say, "Oh, you said so. Where is that point on the body you said about could get rid of a hangover? Where's that point on the body you said was good for getting rid of a migraine?" So yes, having to learn patience, and what goes around comes around, as they say. So back to the plot. Where are we? Yes. So I said about the witchy wounds, especially with my cats. So Lyra's here on the sofa with me. She's very clingy. She's trying to bite me at the moment. And she was limping on the morning of the full moon. And I thought, oh Lord, what's she gone and done? She only jumped off the bed. and I think she hurt her toe or something like that. She screamed and screamed, but by the end of the day, she was perfectly all right. I gave her some healing; she was fine. And Sirius, the boy cat, he has got serious itchy skin, seriously itchy skin. And I've tuned into both of them, and I said, "Well, what's all this about?" And it's to do with trying to escape from the fires, from being thrown into the fires with their witchy owners in the past, probably me. Wouldn't be surprised. So, my two cats are really feeling these energies coming up for healing and transmutation. And Leo energy rules the big cats and the little cats, or in haggis. And because the moon is in Leo, the full moon was in Leo, my two cats are Leo sun signs. They were both born in August. Well, they're brother and sister. And so they hold that Leo energy very strongly, not only in, Leo ruling the cat energy, but because they're actually born, there you are, August born babies. So as we move forward, there's looking at the how the sun in Leo, there's also an opposition of Pluto in Aquarius. So the sun's in one part of the sky and Pluto's in another part of the sky, and so there's an opposition going on. So Pluto rules the underworld and darkness, and Pluto is the destroyer and brings to light or unearths things that need to be so corruption and such like need to be brought up to the surface. So the full moon in Leo and the celebrity is like a film premiere, a movie premiere on the red carpet with the arc lights shining directly onto those things that are coming up, that have been hidden away from us for a very long time. Now, as we move into March, there's an eclipse. Well, there's an eclipse season, so there'll be two eclipses in March. The first one is on the 25th, and I thought that was interesting because the full moon was on the 25th. We just had in Leo, and the eclipse on the 25th of March is in Libra at 5 degrees, which is also a Leo degree. So the full moon in Leo at 5 degrees was an ignition point for that eclipse. So what's been occurring in the last couple of days with this full moon is an ignition, light the blue touch paper and retire, meaning step away from, not retire, for what's coming for this eclipse in Libra. So Libra is about balance, harmony, relationships, but it's also the law, the scales of justice. So something's cooking, something is stirring. It has to gather momentum. Uranus rules fireworks. So stuff that's up there in the air, because Uranus is the sky god. So there's a big display, I would say, that's about to occur. It might just be razzmatazz, because the Leo stuff is look at me, woohoo, look at me, aren't I gorgeous, aren't I wonderful? And it's watching a display, as I said, a big explosion of colours and energies, and everybody going ooh ah, but it can also be a distraction. So look over here, not over here. So as we move into these coming weeks and days, I made a little list of what some of the degrees are with regard to these eclipses. So there will be a new moon solar eclipse in Libra on the 2nd of October at 10 degrees. So 10 degrees and 22 degrees is a Capricorn degree, and that's to do with public office, public officials, public facing, slow, delay, decay, cold, fear, depression and control. So what is building up over these coming weeks and months? I would say we need to be the observer. Do not become embroiled in it. Stand back and watch, as though it is this huge firework display, and then boom, and it's all over. It costs thousands of pounds or millions of pounds for all this stuff to go up in smoke, but it will eventually burn itself out. So, a bit of history about Uranus. It was discovered by telescope, ruled by Uranus, astrology and astronomy, ruled by Uranus, and it was discovered by Sir William Herschel on the 13th of March 1781, which is 243 years ago, during Pluto's initial 248-year cycle from the 4th of July 1776 of the US Declaration of Independence. So Pluto and Uranus being very significant around those times. Uranus has an 84-year cycle, and there are trines, oppositions, squares and sextiles during that cycle. Now, interestingly, I'm experiencing a Uranus sextile, which runs from age 69 to 71, and it also encompasses the age of 13 to 15. So this is a time for me to be pushing boundaries and choosing a different path. And that's definitely one of the, well, a couple of the things that I'm looking into. So I'll give you some dates when Uranus was prominent in our histories. So 1306, the Knights Templar. The church decided to remove them because they had huge wealth and treasures, some of which were not material, it was knowledge. So the church decided, oh, they're far too powerful, we're going to get rid of them. And charges were brought against them, including heresy, witchcraft, and devil worship. 1306. So in the 1340s, in Europe, we had the Black Death, or the plague. And some people speculate that that was manufactured and released to get rid of a lot of humans, because quite a few people did succumb to it. And apparently it was started by rats coming off the ships at the docks. Then 1445. During the 15th century, a struggle for power between the rival houses of Lancaster and York. So this was the beginning of the War of the Roses. 1529, Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, the Archbishop of York, he presided over a court at Blackfriars to rule on the legality of King Henry VIII of England's marriage to Catherine of Aragon, because Henry wanted to divorce his wife and marry Anne Boleyn. In that same year, the English Reformation Parliament was first seated. In 1542, the English law made witchcraft a secular crime with the Witchcraft Act. And workers in a sandpit in the Dauphin region of France discovered the skeleton of what is alleged to be a 30-foot man the legendary Gallic king who fought the Romans. 1642, English Civil War. 1642, the witch trials in England. 1692, witch trials. 1697, Old Moore's Almanac, which you can still buy today. I got one just recently. So the almanac claims to have begun in 1697. It's heavily based on predictions which are mostly astrologically based. The predictions for each star sign at the end are astrological pointers for horse racing, greyhound racing, gardening by the moon, football pools, angler's guide, lottery numbers, and it finishes with a list of UK fairs and events and lighting up times. So there we are. There's a little bit of an update of the energies around us at present. It's I've jumped around a little bit, so I hope that it makes sense to you. There's a lot more coming, and it's a time for us to, on the one hand, be the observer, and on the other hand, be mindful of our energies, who we share them with, who we give them to, how when we are feeling depleted, we need to take that step back and rest. So even though there might be some demands on us from others around us, it's that incredible strength and ability to say, well, no, I'm not available. Because if you give yourself away to another, you deplete your life force, which can never be reclaimed. There's a time and a place for everything, and one of the most powerful words in the dictionary or in our language is no. Nope. I'm not prepared to do that. And we can see that quite powerfully at the moment with the farmers in Germany, in France, in the Netherlands. I hope it comes to London. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. Dump some of that stuff on Rishi Sunak's doorstep. Anyway, there you are, my lovelies. I hope it's been of some interest to you. We'll love you and leave you, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye.